So, this is a Mini Rose, originally a 998 engine. This has been a project for about 5 years now. The shell was absolutely rotten when we got it. It's had new seals, inner and outer. Some of the panels have been replaced on the inside there, new A panels, new scuttle panel, parts of the floor. It's had some plating done along the back here on the rear quarter, new arches in the rear, new boot floor, and then various other bits and pieces. This inner panel's been replaced. It's actually, I removed it down here and then added a new piece in. You can just see a few marks there where it was actually added in. It's had new steel in behind the cross member and a new cross member installed. The idea with this car is that it looks fairly standard on the outside, but is obviously completely not standard, and got a bit more power than your standard Mini. So this is a 1293 stage 3 engine with lowered compression and bigger valves. I think they're 31s on the outlet and 29 on the inlet, I think. Anyway, bigger valves, cam, crank's been balanced up to 14,000 RPM. It's got a centre main strap, and it's also got a turbo on it. So this engine, with the standard turbo that we had on it before, on the rollers in a different car, put out 165 brake horsepower, which was not too shabby. There is a different turbo in this now. It's basically a Metro turbo engine, but it's been tuned. Originally, it would have had a T3 turbo. This has got a Garrett GT 2056 turbo that we haven't run on this car yet, so that's on the back of the engine at the moment. And obviously then the hope is that we get a bit more kind of power, but more of a linear power curve on it as well. So the work that's been done on this, obviously oil cooler. In fact, let's start this side. Shocks, ProTech shocks, coilovers obviously, so different setup here, and then a frame to hold the front subframe. It's got vented discs and grooved, and then it's got Mini Sport 2-pot calipers that aren't on here at the moment because we're looking at potentially changing them. Obviously adjustable suspension, adjustable tie bars. Oil cooler mounted on the side. We actually upgraded it to a servo because it just makes it easier for braking. Front mounted alloy radiator, which has probably been the hardest and most in-depth piece of work to try and get that to fit under the front. Nice big intercooler, which I believe is off as a Volkswagen Passat, that sits in, so there's some air that can flow into that. Other than that, what have we got? We've got a swell pot on the front. I say swell pot, it's just a header tank. Needed that for the front mounted radiator, so that's in there as well. This thing here is the fuel pressure regulator, which will regulate the pressure of the turbo. So basically the fuel pressure needs to be about 4 psi above the pressure that the turbo's kicking out at the time, because it actually still is a carburetor. Again, that's a standard thing though. Moving down through, obviously you can see the coilovers, the protector coilovers in a bit more detail. Other than that, pretty much everything else is standard, until we move into the interior, which I will do now. So it's got Mark 1 style door frames and alloy doors. So these skins are alloy. When I open up the doors, you'll be able to see on the inside there's nothing in there. It's really, really light. So crossbar across there, and it's got a 6-point safety devices cage in it as well, bolt-in cage. These aren't the seats that are going to be in it. They're not very nice at all, but they're in there for the time being just to kind of lay it all out so you can see. It's going to have a centre clock on it rather than what it would have had normally, which is the 3 clocks across here, or two clocks across there. As you can see here, it's also got part of the roll cage. I actually got hold of a harness bar as well for the overlap bar, which helps. It's pretty well stripped out there. There's an alloy plenum sat back there, which is going to go on the back of the carburetor. Not a lot's been done in here. Today's job is to put in a CAD internal gear shifting system, which will be nice. Pedal box is pretty much standard. So yeah, that's just the inside. And again, the inside is going to look and feel very, very basic. But again, the outside will look standard as possible. Keeping hold of the standard arches. Probably going to get some different wheels for it, in all fairness. Not a big fan of those ones. Moving around to the back, again, all pretty much standard. Apart from the bumpers, which are stainless steel, they would have normally been black. There'll be a fuel pump in the back. This is an MPI tank. So the fuel pump's inside. You need that for the high pressure fuel on a turbo. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Underneath, if you get under here, so you'll see there's no, normally on a Mini there's a subframe that sits in around here, a big heavy thing. That's gone. Obviously we've got the shocks again, the adjustable coilovers, and then we've got this aluminium bar here. That is the beam, so that's a replacement. So that bolts in where the normal subframe would, but obviously it's just the beam, the alloy beam there, and then normally the subframe would come up here and then bolt up under here as well. And then everything, the suspension would hang off of there, but it doesn't need to with this. Obviously it's all been fully rebuilt, all of this stuff, and it's going on. This is the dry build stage. So effectively, this stage here is making all the bits fit, making it work right, and then when we've done that, we will strip it and it'll all go off to paint and powder coat to be done. But if I can get back up and around here, so work that's been done here. Not sure if you can see that, but there's a very small line there, and here, so all of these mounts, rear subframe mounts, have been replaced. This is a new valance on the back. Believe it or not, I've actually welded into here as well. There was a hole in this, and I've welded up around here as well. So all of that's been welded and looks pretty good. One thing I'm quite a stickler about is making sure I grind off the welds, so you don't notice it was there. But there we go. Progress so far on day one. Radiators in, as I pointed out earlier. Brackets made up, which I'm not overly happy with, but they're okay. They hold the radiator sturdy. And then, as you can see, tabs welded on under the subframe. So the other thing that's just gone in now is the internal gear linkage. So you can see the rod. This new universal joint connects on with a threaded rod. Goes inside the car. And this is the CAD one, which then comes up through, and obviously you can then adjust it using this, which it will need a lot of adjustments. So what I've done is you take the standard Mini gear housing, which is the linkage housing, and then you basically just pull it up from, it normally sits under the car down there, you just pull it up to here so it sits further back, and obviously it makes it a quick shift, but this needs adjusting. So there's lots of, I haven't greased any of this, I've just cleaned everything out and it's all immaculate, but obviously this will then need taking apart and greasing up for the final fitment. But the throw is very small and it's not really getting many of the gears at the moment, so there'll be some adjustments that need to be done for that. But for the main part of it, just one rivet in there at the moment, one rivet in there, because these will go in actually after the car's sprayed, so I'll drill that out once we strip down. Bolted in here as well. So the only disappointing thing with this is that the gear handbrake lever hits it, so you have to make a spacer and pull it out so that you can actually work the handbrake still. But there we go. So day one, and that took a lot longer than I thought, but then the radiator took half the day.